I believe that people don't need to be told what to do.
Yeah.
People need to feel like they're being heard. Kindness to me is any thought, action, or word that you can do or take to make someone's day. Mm-hmm. And it could be tiny or it could be huge. Mm-hmm. So for me, it could be as simple as using Facebook or Instagram to post a positive thought or a kind thought or a kind story. One thing that we were working on last year is I used Facebook to build a fundraiser for Pencils of Promise, which is, building schools and doing all this incredible work, and people were donating as part of that. And so kindness is time, energy, and money. That's how we show it the most. Right? When we give our time to someone, when we give our energy to someone, or we give money towards something, it can be shown in any way, and it doesn't matter whether it's big or small, but I'd recommend we do one kind thing a day at least.
Studies have found that even kindness is more important than intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say about that?
I think kindness spreads faster.
Yeah.
I agree. I think kindness spreads faster, and kindness is easy to experience, and it actually has impact on how you feel.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've seen, which is so beautiful, is that when people are sharing my videos on Facebook, it's like they feel that they're getting to spread kindness. They're not spreading it because it's smart. They're not spreading it because it's provocative. They're spreading it because they feel that if they spread it with their community, they're also part of spreading kindness. And I think that's what I love about it, that kindness doesn't have any languages. It doesn't have any barriers. Like, it's beyond all of that. Kindness is a language we can all speak. So this is a quote from Nelson Mandela where he said, "No one is born hating another person. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love." When we're children, we naturally are caring, compassionate, and kind. I actually saw this really good video on social media of a child watching a cartoon, and the cartoon character started to cry. And so the little girl, she crawled up to the screen and she took a napkin and she started to wipe the tear. And that's how we are as children. And then we're wired for generosity, but then we're educated for greed. So our life becomes around getting and success and achievement and doing whatever it takes. And that's where kindness gets removed. So the only way to bring that kindness into children's lives is through encouraging things like sharing and collaboration. Encouraging things like not ownership of a toy or an aspect, but recognizing that things are connected. And so these 3 tips I'm going to share with you today, one's for the body, one's for the mind, and one's for both. So this one's for the body. Drink your foods and chew your drinks. Studies show that to digest a piece of food properly, you should chew that piece of food 16 to 32 times. And when you don't chew a piece of food and really break it down through the chewing process, your digestive system is now on overactive mode trying to digest that food. What happens in that process is your body is now using all of its energy to digest food instead of focusing on your work, which means that whole afternoon after lunch, your body is actually trying to use all its resources, all its energy, trying to digest food, and that's why you feel tired, that's why you feel lethargic, and that's why you feel this big drop in energy. The second principle I wanted to share with you is a principle for the mind. How many of you look at your phones the first thing in the morning? All of us, pretty much. So studies show 80% of us look at our phones first thing in the morning and the last thing that we see at night. It's not the person sleeping next to us, it's not anything else, it's our phone screen. How many of you would let 100 people walk into your bedroom first thing in the morning? Would anyone let that happen? I'm guessing not. What we're doing is we're letting 100 people through notifications walk into our mind. We're expecting our brains and our minds to literally go from 0 miles per hour to 100 miles per hour to process all of these notifications, and we just woke up. It will protect your mental health for the long run. Not looking at your phone in the morning is one of the biggest steps forward in changing your life. And it's something that I've personally had to practice in my life and change, and something that I recommend to so many people. Bringing our awareness to our breath is the single most powerful tool in aligning ourselves. And I'll explain why. How many times do you have an experience in your day where your mind is ahead of your body? Your mind's racing ahead, thinking of a million things, and your body's like, ugh, like I can't keep up with this. Anyone ever feel that? And how many of you do you experience the opposite? Where your body's racing ahead, doing loads of things, and your mind's like, oh, I'm still in bed. Anyone ever had that? So we usually experience one of the two. Most of us don't think about how to breathe. The funniest thing is the best athletes on the planet, the best musicians on the planet, the best singers on the planet, all master their breath. When you master your breath, you master your life. Why? Because every emotion is connected to your breath. Have you ever felt anxiety? What changes? Your breath. When you feel happy, what changes? Your breath. When you want to cry, what changes? Your breath. Every emotion is connected to your breath. So if you can control your breath, you can control and navigate every emotion. If you ever feel like your mind is ahead or your body's behind, or your body's ahead or your mind's behind, simply breathe in for the same amount of time as you breathe out. And you can count the numbers in your head. So breathe in for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4 in your own time and at your own pace. And you'll see that your body and mind slowly start to respond to each other, and your body will actually calm down. It will actually shift your body into a state of alignment. Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. Hey, how's it going? Hi. Nice to meet you. The Gottman Institute states that the #1 skill needed for a long-lasting relationship is not date nights, it's not holiday cruises, it's not walks on the beach, it's not giving each other gifts, it's not cooking for each other, it's learning how to fight. The truth is that any good relationship will always have conflict. It's where you're never gonna be in a scenario where you're dating, where you don't argue or you don't have a disagreement. It's going to happen. We have to first accept you are going to fight, but when you are going to fight, you're gonna make sure that you fight together. So when you're having an argument, it's not both of you against each other, it's both of you against the problem. And I think when you start with that principle first and you recognize that if you really value this relationship, this person's really, really important to you. The second thing, and this is something that I learned from groups. So on Facebook groups, I always ask these questions of like, oh, what are you struggling with? Like, what's your challenge? And what is your biggest relationship issue? And what people said when we were talking about fights in groups, and I have a group dedicated to relationships, everyone was saying like, I just don't understand what my partner wants when they fight. And that's where this fight language idea came up. Because I started to realize that we all deal with fighting differently. Some people want to go quiet. Some people want to talk about it. Yeah. Some people want to, get really angry. Some people want to blame. We all want to do these different things. And I think it's really important that we give our partner the benefit of the doubt that doesn't mean they don't care. It's just that's how they process it. And so the two most common languages are talk about it right now or go quiet. Yeah. And usually when someone does something that we don't want to do, we're like, oh, maybe they don't care. Maybe they've gone quiet because they don't care anymore. But that's not true. That's just how they process it. And when someone wants to shout and talk about it, it's not because they're shouting at you or hate you. It's because that's how they're processing it based on their parenting and their background. Be aware of how you respond to an argument and how your partner responds, and then find the middle ground of how to have a discussion. If it's about winning, win together. Don't lose together, because if you win and they lose, you lose. And if they win and you lose, you lose. You don't prepare for a fight in the fight, you prepare beforehand. So you need to spend time with your partner having a conversation outside of that. Preparing for a fight happens when your relationship's going well, not when your relationship's going badly. And when things in relationships going well, that's when we think, oh, let's avoid fights. No, that's when you should talk about it more, because it's gonna come, and so you're ready for it. We will repeat everything we don't repair. And so now's the time to repair our self-worth and our self-confidence and who we are, and that way we won't repeat it again. The biggest mistake we make is we just go find someone else to fill that gap, and then again we experience it. So this is a time for us to feel all the challenges and heal our own gaps.